What's up, everyone? So down here working on my wife's stereo in her car, the stereo we put in, and figured I'd make a little video about it just to kind of show what it is we did and how we like to upgrade these older cars. So we always buy just used older vehicles, mainly Toyotas, just because we like them and they work good. But one thing we love is our music. And I think a lot of people realize it's not that difficult to get a decent system in these older cars because let's face it, they're pretty crappy from the factory, especially some of these older cars. But so many people spend so much money not only on new cars, but the upgrades from the factory are just a waste of money. Just my opinion, is all. But we get these. We always use crutchfield.com. I'll put some links below just so you guys can see it. I mean, it's crutchfield.com. I think you can figure it out. But anyway, so but yeah, these older cars you can get them a dime a dozen. You can get buy them for cash, and then you can turn around and just spend some extra dollars and really just make these things pretty nice. But I'm gonna get this stuff back together. I was actually taking these speakers and just trying to. I had a slight rattle on some, so I just put some rubber underneath both of them just to kind of smooth it out a little bit, and it sounds fantastic now. But I'm going to get these trim pieces back in and I'm going to explain a little more about what all we did to it and just really how affordable this stuff is. All right, folks, we got the trim pieces back on, so that's good. Went back in. That's okay. So, the system we're talking about here isn't just replacing speakers in the doors or speakers in the rear. We went through everything. I'm zoomed in here on the amplifier underneath the seat. We've also got a subwoofer in the trunk, and we replaced door speakers along with the head unit or receiver, player, I don't know, square thing in the dash. There's many things you can call it. I just call it whatever. But the cool thing is this: these systems now and some of this modern technology, this I believe is a Class D amplifier. I think that's the official designation. But we've got this amplifier, and just kind of as reference, if I can zoom in on it a little bit, it is not that very big. I mean, this thing is lightweight. It's easy to install. You can put them under the seat. Heck, you could probably put them inside this console right here. And we've got this amplifier is running the subwoofer, which is bridged to the rear, and then the door speakers. And on these cars, these sedans, and you can see where it's grounded and all that good stuff. But these sedans, that's all you really need. You power these door speakers, you run a nice head unit, square thing in the dash, and that's all you really need. We did replace the rear speakers on this car simply because one of them was blown and it was making fuzzy noises. Ironically, that's the one I had to go in and make some adjustments to. But I think all in we have JBL speakers in the doors, and I'll put links of what we did here. We're about $900 in on this, and I know that may seem like a lot, but when you think about this is not high end stereo equipment. This is not for you're not going to win any competitions on this stuff. But if I didn't even replace the rear speakers and I went a little more budget in the doors, you're only talking like $750, which is not much for stereo that anybody can do. Now, one thing I will say about these stereos, they do take some time. This isn't a couple hour job. You got to pull seats out and all that, but you can easily do it. But let me get out of this back here, and I'm gonna move up front. So let me just halt the video, and I'll just catch up with you guys in a second. All right, I survived, made it to the front seat. It's amazing. So here's the deck that we have in here, and it's very basic, as you can see. It's not, and you can get these where it's all touchscreen and all that. We like these. I like these JVC simply because I like the functionality. And what you don't realize is even in modern cars, even cars built today, this is 2024 if you're watching this, they don't have the functionality that these do for the EQ, for the settings, and so forth, the subwoofer and all that. And here's why I mentioned Crutchfield and why I love them so much. Crutchfield.com lets you go on there and you can put your car in, and it'll just list out for you which speakers work for your car, which head units will work for your car. But most importantly, they're going to kind of show you what brackets you need and everything to make this work. And the reason I wanted to bring them up is it really depends on the car. So if you look at this one, these Toyotas are pretty basic, at least these years. I don't know what the new modern ones are. Again, this is a 2011. This They send this stuff for free. So and I'm not sponsored or affiliated with them, so I just like their stuff. So like this panel right here and all the brackets behind it, and they can be a pain in the butt to get them going, but they do work. All that's for free. It comes with it if you order through them. They give you the wiring harness and everything you need. And this before was just junk. I mean, the factory stuff it just doesn't, it's not, it just can't compete, just my opinion. Now the door speakers, I can't show those obviously because the door panels are on there, but it does depend on your car. So some cars have, like if we looked at we looked at a Honda Accord. My son was looking at one. There's a lot more involved. Let's just put it that way. So if you are thinking of doing this and you are looking at a used car, keep that in mind. It might be a little more complicated, but it's a good resource. It's a good place to go. But this works pretty good for us. So the only complicated part of these is honestly running the wires. So you're going to have to remove seats. You're going to have to remove trim pieces. But once you do that and lay it out, it's pretty dang easy. But let me show you what's under the hood, how it runs up to the main cable for the wiring, and then I'll show you the subwoofer in the trunk. But again, you're talking about head unit, door speakers, quality door speakers in my opinion. I'm not an audio guy. Amplifier for both the doors and the rear, and also all wiring harnesses, amplifier wiring kit, amplifier, the whole thing. We paid $900, and even with the $900, I think we could have even gotten cheaper because again, we had to replace the rear speakers on this car because they were blown. Those rear speakers, and one thing I did fail to mention, those rear speakers run off of this head unit, and there's some small dash speakers. Don't ask about the carpet stuff. But there's also some small dash speakers. They're like 2.5 something. They're like tweeters or small mid ranges, but those and those rear speakers run off of this head unit. Everything else is amplified. There's no need to amplify, in my opinion, some of those others, and it sounds, in my opinion, awesome. So we're gonna go take a look under the hood, kind of show you how it hooks up underneath there, and then also gonna take a look at the subwoofer setup in the back. Again, real simple, works very well, and I think most folks could do this pretty easily. You just got to give yourself the time to do it. All right, under the hood here, showing you where the power cable comes out. In my opinion, this is the biggest pain in the butt, is getting this cable through the firewall. All cars should have a wire loom that comes through, and you got to fish it through underneath the dash. You can see where this one comes out. If I can get my finger right there, where it's blue. Now on this one, I actually ran a 4 gauge, which is way overkill for that amplifier. And the reason is I thought that I was going to be running something bigger. I already had it, so I ran with it. So in theory, I could have actually saved a little bit money by returning it and getting a smaller gauge. But the folks at Crutchfield can help you, or you can just search online and figure out what's best to run. But all it does is comes through. I just routed it around here and attaches to the battery right here. So I can get a light on a little bit. But you can see it just attaches there to the top, and that's it. And it's got a fuse, and there's no need to attach it to anything. I just zip tie it to stuff. That's really all you got to do. But that's pretty much the hookup for that. But again, that is the biggest pain in the butt. I think it was a coat hanger, some weed eater line, and some other stuff to finally fish it through. And if you just wrap it in a lot of tape really good and put some WD-40 on it or whatever, it'll come right through. And then I don't know if you can see, some silicone around it just to keep any kind of water from getting in and all that. And here is the trunk with the subwoofer. And yes, it is a very basic budget kicker sub. It is a 10-inch sub. We were going to go with the 12, but just decided for space to go with the 10. Honestly, the 10 sounds perfect in this car. It does exactly what we need it to. What I liked about this one in these trunks, because we keep 575 billion pounds of stuff back here, it's downward firing, so it basically protects the sub itself. If you install one, I would definitely check for clearance to make sure it's okay, but all we did here, if I can get down in here without killing myself, just use these straps. Bought these at like Home Depot or something, any hardware store, and just hooked them to let's see it better over here, hooked to those latches down in there, seat brackets, whatever. Just found something to attach them to. But this would work in a hatchback, it'd work in a trunk, it'd work in any of the little SUVs, you name it. I do have a system in my 09 Tacoma, which is very similar. The problem with that one was I needed a very custom fit box behind the seat, so that got a little pricey. But hey, this works. Again, $900 for a really killer system in my opinion, just for putting around town. Don't need nothing high end. Too bad I don't have any system coming up that I need to install. Otherwise, I would do a full series of videos. Maybe I will in the future. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Please subscribe. If you got any questions on it, put them in the comments. I'd be glad to answer them and maybe even do another video on it.